Shalom. First off, I want to start out by giving all the glory, infinite praise, and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone that do rule and teach well in this tabernacle of David. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make your calling and election sure. Shalom. This is your brother Hashar from the Great Millstone Savannah Camp, coming back in the spirit with another lesson. Lord willing, I pray and hope that it's edifying and exhorting. All right, and I want to do this lesson, going into, how Esau Edom, the so-called white man, the self-proclaimed white man, all right, is, basically taking peace from the earth. All right, he's, spreading himself thin like Rome. Okay, and basically we're in the Roman Empire all over again, right? But this devil is following in the, basically the very same footsteps. All right, there's multiple wars and skirmishes and conflicts that are taking place. All right, and we're coming up on the beginning of the year. All right, and for the past few years, the beginning of the year has marked some, some very, I want to say, perilous times. So they always, the years always start with judgment. All right, between the beginning of the Gregorian calendar and the Passover, right, which is the beginning of our year. All right, there's been a lot of judgment these past 6 years. Okay, so it could be more. All right, just being circumspect. So this is Revelation chapter 6 and verse 4. It says, "And there went out another horse that was red." All right, and Esau Edom is that he's red. All right, when you go into that word Edom or Idom, it means red in the Hebrew. Okay, and he's red. And he's and red goes into crimson, right? Or which basically criminal. Okay, it's an indicator. All right, and when we say the so-called white man, all right, this truth is not about color. All right, the truth is not about race. It's not about color. It's about the spirit that's in that's in a man. All right, the spirit that's within a man. Okay, and if you look out throughout the earth, all right, you'll see, which we're gonna go into, who fits this scripture and prophecy to the T. All right, it says, "And power was given unto him that sat to take peace from the earth, and that they should kill one another. And there was given unto him a great sword." All right, and when you go into Genesis, I believe it's the 27th chapter, right? Part of the blessing of Esau Edom was the sword. He said, our forefather Jacob said, "What? By thy sword shall he live, and shall, then he shall serve his brother." All right, let's get that. All right, just for edification's sake. Here it is right here. Genesis 38, Genesis 27 and 38. It says, "And Esau said unto his father, Hast thou but one blessing from me, my father? Bless me, even also, O my father." And Esau lifted up his voice and wept. And Isaac his father answered and said unto him, "Behold, thy dwelling shall be the fatness of the earth," which is the same thing that Jacob was promised, right? It says, "And of the dew of heaven from above, and by thy sword shalt thou live, and shalt serve thy brother. And it shall come to pass, when thou shalt have dominion, that thou shalt break his yoke from off thy neck. All right, and that happened. That was fulfilled during the time of uh, what did it say? Like from 300 A.D. the fall of Rome up until around 1400 A.D. Right, which was the fall of the Byzantine Empire. All right, or the end of the Dark Ages, when Esau broke the yoke from off his neck. All right, because he was the one that was in the lowest state. They call it the Dark Ages because they were the ones that were peasants and servants in that time. All right, and the the so-called Negroes ruled. All right, which is also prophesied in Revelation as well. All right, and so the main point was that he would live by his sword. Okay, and this is the same beast that it's talking about. Now, I want to get into these two news articles that I have. It says Trump's warning to Nigeria to nations persecuted to offers hope to nations persecuted Christians. Right? So, I don't know exactly what's going on. All right, but apparently the Muslims are persecuting Christians. All right, and you have Trump threatening basically to go to war. All right, to intervene if it doesn't stop. All right, and they're supposed to, supposedly 50,000 Christians have been killed since 2009. All right, and I think a couple thousand this year. Okay. It says last month President Trump posted on Truth Social saying three of every four Christians murdered in the world in the past years. In the past year, 300 of 4,000. You can read that were killed in Nigeria. So, they're basically he's trying to put on this Christian front. All right, but who has he surrounded himself with? All right, nothing but transhumanists. All right, tech giants. All right, they're putting up these giant tech farms. He's ushering in the CBDCs, right? And the so-called MAGA Christians. All right, they're silent on the issue. Okay, but he'll throw out a psyop, a pacifier every now and then to make it seem like he's so for the Christians, right? But really his alliance is to the small hats. All right, and there's an ulterior motive to everything that they do. All right, so there's a war, starting a war there, right? There's it says, this is from Reuters, it says Venezuelan military preparing guerrilla response in case of U.S. attack. All right, there's a bunch of U.S. Ships in the Gulf, right, prepared to go to war with Venezuela, which we know Venezuela has, they have oil. All right, they're the biggest producer of oil in the world. So, they're creating that boogeyman so they could come with, that law and order. All right, so I want to get some precepts. All right, going into the so-called white man, Esau Edom, and just identifying, how you know who he is. Okay, and how the scriptures is speaking about him. All right, it says, wait on the Lord. This is Psalms 37 and 34. Wait on the Lord and keep his way, and he shall exalt thee to inherit the land. When the wicked are cut off, thou shalt see it. Verse 35, it says, I have seen the wicked in great power and spreading himself like a green bay tree. Okay? And, that's what he's doing. He's spreading himself as a green bay tree. All right? And he did the same thing in ancient Rome. Okay? this is going to lead to Isaiah, what is it, Ezekiel the 36th chapter, 38th chapter, right? Which these nations are going to run to Russia for refuge. Even now, right? Venezuela has a pact with Russia. All right, let's try to search that. Right? It says Russia tit for tat move. How Moscow is arming Venezuela to counter U.S. arms supply to Ukraine. So that's prophecy being fulfilled, man. All right. The scripture says that these nations, that Russia would be a guard unto these lesser nations, these smaller nations, man. Let's get it. Yep. And this is talking about. I'm gonna read Ezekiel 38:1. It says, "And the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, the chief prince of Mektesh and Tubal, and prophesy against him." All right. It says, and say unto them, Thus saith the Lord power, Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, the chief prince of Mektesh and Tubal. I will turn thee back. I will put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth in all thy horsemen, Salaki, and all thy army, and horses and horsemen, all them clothed in all sorts of armor. The modern day horses and horsemen, right, are these military tanks, military trucks, Humvees, planes, fighter jets, all that, man. All right. It says, even a great company with thee, with bucklers and shields, all of them having swords, right? Guns, the modern day gun, missiles, rockets, objects, killing objects that are propelled, right? It says Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya with them, and all of them with shields and helmet, Gomer and all his bands, and the house of Tugamar of the north quarters and all his bands, and many people with thee. All right, and we can see the two sides being set, the Axis and the Allies, powers, all right, of the earth, just like in World War I and II. Verse 7, it says, Be thou prepared, and prepare thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and thou shalt be a guard unto them, right? And that's why you see things like this happen, right? Russia arming Venezuela, right? And all this is a part of the biblical prophecy, man, of this devil being taken down, right, and being taken out of rulership, out of power. Here we go. Habakkuk chapter 2 and verse 5, it says, Yeah, also because he transgresseth by wine, he is a proud man. He's proud, man. That's why Trump is trying to intervene in all these matters, right? It's ultimately because of the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, but the Lord is showing that he's proud, man. The scripture says violence covereth him as a chain, right? And pride covereth him as a garment. So, this devil, through his warfare, he's been the hammer of the earth. He's been able to bully the nations and overthrow governments and, go in and topple these different nations, right? Well, the Lord is going to have him in that same spirit in this time, man, but he's not going to win this battle, all right? It says, he is a proud man, neither keepeth at home. And you can't stay at home, right? That's why you have your armies everywhere spread across the world, right? There's military bases in almost every country in the world, embassies, right? He can't keep at home. It says, who enlarges his desire as hell, right? And hell goes into the grave, right? Meaning the grave is the earth. The earth can't be satisfied, right? There's enough graves to put everybody in the ground. There's enough space in the world to put everybody in the ground. Well, the scripture says you enlarge your desire as hell, right? And even when the ground is full, you can throw people in the water, in the ocean, right? So uh, imagine your desires being spread out all across the four corners of the earth, and still not being, satisfied with that. And it says, and is as death, and cannot be satisfied, but gathereth unto himself all nations, and heapeth unto himself all people. Who is this? Who is this he? All right. Who calls their nation the melting pot? Right? Who is heaping unto himself all nations and all people? Who wants control over all? Who wants to put RFID chips in everyone? Okay. One must ask. All right. Shall not all these take up a parable against him, and a taunting proverb against him, and say, woe unto him that increaseth that which is not his. You're trying to go into Venezuela and increase that which is not yours. You're trying to go in there and take that oil. We see you, you know. It says, how long, and to him that is laden with thick clay. All right, and that thick clay goes into that debt that you're in, man. Okay, and there's no escaping that debt. All right, so you want to do a reset. You want to try to do a reset, and that's cool. But the scripture says that when you're about to fill your belly, you're gonna vomit all of your riches up. Okay, so I just wanted to, go into this lesson, going into how Esau is all across the four corners of the earth, and pretty soon it's gonna bite him in the ass, man. So with that, Lord willing, that was edifying and exhorting. I want to end off by giving all the glory, infinite praise and honor unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and the elders of Great Millstone. Peace, love, and salutation to the hopeful elect that is out there pushing this truth in all sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth, giving diligence to make